they're like, well, what's the catch? You're going to give me a bonus in this program. You're going to protect me from the market when the market goes down, and I have the opportunity to earn double-digit return. Like, what's the catch?
All right, thanks for joining us this week on the Elite Sales Podcast. I'm joined in studio, Coronado, the Annuity King.
Oh, I don't know about being called a king.
El Rey.
El Rey.
What do you
El
like?
Rey.
And then we got John Background, co-host.
How's it going?
Before we get into some awesome annuity training that Coronado is going to bless us with, I have Andrew Kasowitz who's on for a couple minutes. We're going to have him share a little bit, but before we get into that topic, I just want to run through a scenario with you guys.
Okay.
For anyone that's out there watching, if you guys can answer this in your own head, if you guys had consistent lead flow, if you guys had enough people to talk to, and you did enough presentations, is there any reason why you wouldn't make money here?
No,
unless you didn't open up your phone to dial.
Right. Unless you didn't put in the work. Obviously, you got to put in the work, because you could have all those things, set up, and if you don't do the work, it still doesn't matter. You got to still convert it. You still got to be the human element. But if you had that consistently, like, is there any reason why you wouldn't be making money, or you wouldn't be making good money?
I mean, it just all boils down to work ethic, right? I mean, put action to your game plan. It's going to pan out.
Just this low.
Yeah.
Closer. But yeah. So I mean, I pose that question because obviously it's a leading and loaded question.
Yeah.
Because it seems like pretty obvious. But while it's obvious as it seems, I think people still kind of get caught up in certain mental blocks, and then they don't want to move forward, and they don't want to just get things rolling. So John and I were doing a segment earlier. We were talking about complexities that people create for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot of unnecessary complexities in the process. Also, if I were to pose a question, if you guys were to spend about $1,000 a lead, $1,000 a week on leads, would you be profitable?
Heck yeah.
Yeah. As long as you're in the right lead flow, right? Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, I mean, the point is, like, if you spend $1,000 on leads, the reality is you're probably going to have to put in some work, or you're not going to just be like, oh, cool, I spent $1,000 and I'm not going to work.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I'm not losing this money, right?
Exactly. So if you've invested the money, you're going to want to make that money back and then some, 10x on that money. So yeah,
that's natural human nature.
It's a huge incentive, right? For you to invest in your business.
Yeah. With, a system and a lead flow, aside from the investment, it's that systematic investment too. So going back to the complexity of things, when you're second doubting, or let's say you bought a lead for 1 week and now it's time to buy again that second week. Now you're running through your mind flow of like, is this going to work again? Or if you could just set it all up in motion and it's continuous, now you can just focus on your workflow of dialing and contacting those leads, right? Instead of buying and trying to buy again, and which lead source do I go again? All those little things in your head.
And it's funny because today, I mean, I was on a live dials because I have a lead vendor who's pretty well known. He does a ton of marketing. He's all over the place. So then, like, I was like, he was on dialing. So I'm like, cool, I'm gonna hop on and see if I can pick up something. Get on there. And the thing is, I'm like, I was watching, I'm like, okay, I mean, it happens. Like, there's always, you're not going to close every single one. There's going to be some that are just, you didn't plan for. And as I'm just watching throughout the day, I'm kind of like, I was like, this dude's nothing special. And like, it's not a knock on him, because the thing is, like, I respect anyone that puts in good, hard, earnest work. Right. So I'm like, I got total respect for that, but it's actually like a little bit comforting, because I'm like, this guy's like, he's like so in tune with his marketing, and he puts in so much effort, production value, and I know he works, but then the thing is, I'm like, just there's like a process. So the thing, you can't just be like marketing and all of a sudden jump back into sales and just expect it to just turn on. Like it's a perishable skill.
Yeah.
Right. And being a perishable skill also means that you can also develop it into a stronger skill with enough repetition. And the reason why most people don't get enough repetition is you don't want to make money, which I don't think that's really anyone's real reason, but let's just say I don't want to work. And then there's the second part, like they're not self-starters. They don't really want to put in that work, even though they know they got bills coming up, even though they have financial obligations. So like there's that. And then the most realistic thing is they don't have a system in place.
Right.
And they don't have a system in place. They don't have regular leads coming in. And I think that's something that we're going to talk about just briefly. To have Andrew Kasprowitz that's so graciously joined us today.
Drew,
you on first of all?
Yeah. How you doing, Big O?
John, I'm well. Thank you for spending some time. But I just have Andrew on today because as I'm going through all these different lead vendors, we've been testing out a bunch of different ones. We've been doing our research and looking around. And the thing about lead vendors, realistically, I think they're not that far off. They're all pretty somewhere in the same ballpark.
Right.
Some you pay for the difference. Generally, it's like some are a little higher intent because they filter it out a little bit more. Yeah. Some cast a super wide net and you get a ton of volume for cheap. Some you get aged ones, some you get new ones. And so there's like slight nuances to it, but for the most part, there's no like silver bullet.
And also the quality doesn't make that big of a difference either. Right.
The quality doesn't make that big of a difference, but I will say this, and I'm going to have Andrew speak on it in just a sec. Customer service makes a big deal to me. Because the thing is like, if I don't expect anyone to be perfect, because I think that's an unreasonable standard. So like, if certain things don't go as expected, like I'm not going to be the person that's going to go in and be like guns blazing. I'm just going to be like, hey, you need to fix this for me. How dare you mess this up? I just try to think about, okay, like, why did this happen? Like what happened in their business? Is there something that I did on my end first before I start complaining to this person? And then, or if I'm going to complain to this person, what do they need to hear from me for them to make the requisite changes to improve the situation?
Instead of just a complaint.
Yeah. I'm not complaining just to complain. Like I want something to be rectified. And what matters to me when it comes to lead vendors are lead vendors that actually be like, okay, we'll take that into consideration. They may try to explain it and then they'll be like, yeah, we're going to work on that. We hear you. And that's all I really want. I don't need them to be like, oh, here's all of your money back. And, here, we're going to give you a bunch of free stuff. I just want someone that I can trust.
Yeah.
And someone that's going to be reliable and someone that's going to just take your input and just let us know they're going to apply it.
Yeah. It's a business partnership in that point.
Correct. Yeah. And so I don't know, maybe this is just kind of like a weird setup for you, Andrew, but then like I've known Andrew for a long time and, obviously he's part of the Elite agency, but he's been working on his own business. He's generating some leads. This all came up because we were talking about a couple other lead vendors and they were talking about their price point and talking about the volume and all this other stuff. And I was like, look, I think Andrew's like that with John and I, he talked about his program he's developing. So then we're like, okay, well, I mean, if lead gen's almost all kind of the same, you've got to make certain tweaks and there's certain things to like manage, but it's all kind of the same. So I'm like, I'd rather keep it within the family. Might as well send it towards somebody that I can't really speak to the level of quality yet because it's still early in all fairness. And I'm not like single-handed. I'm not endorsing be like, this is the only lead vendor everyone should use.
Right. I'm
just presenting another option that, for someone that I personally trust, someone that I have full confidence that he's going to be receptive towards any constructive feedback, and will be willing to like work with people to try to help improve the situation. So hope that was a decent introduction for you, Andrew. I mean, I know you got a lot more to your program than I'm butchering. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about what you got going on?
Yeah, man. First and foremost, Al, thanks, man. Thank you for vouching and having me on, right? So yeah, I've been an agent obviously almost 10 years now. We started at the old company and we transferred over with you as well. So I've been buying leads for my whole career, basically, for the last 5 years. So as an agent, I know the frustrations of consistently buying leads week in and week out and seeing the inconsistencies of the leads week in and week out, right? So it wasn't until I started branching out and finding personal marketers on my own that helped generate and develop systems in place that made my life as an agent a lot simpler, right? It doesn't eliminate the hard work that's required, on our behalf as agents, but it does make certain parts a lot easier, right? Whether it's less time on the phone, or once you have them on the phone, less time actually, having to convince them that they filled out the lead request rather than booking the appointment or doing a call to close, right? So we've come up with the system. Probably we've been working on it for the last probably like 6 months or so, right? Of basically duplicating systems that worked in the past for us and seen how long it could consistently work on a consistent lead flow. And you guys see William Boning's numbers, week in and week out for probably the last year or so. If he's not on the top 3, he's within the top 5, So we know that if it works for one person that has a great work ethic, that's on live dials each and every day, that's committed to his craft, we know that it's duplicatable for those type of agents as well, So if you're looking for more consistent, lead flow, we have great customer service as well. We're reaching back out to you if there's any problems, and we're getting people set up within 24 to 48 hours, which is pretty important, for the agent. So we're actually doing a call later on today at 5 o'clock. If you guys want to hop on and learn a little bit more, ask more questions or whatever the case may be, we'll be on today at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that way you guys could feel free to shoot me any questions that you have or ask any questions. I'm here to help, at the end of the day. So, we all grow together and we raise the tides for others to follow. So thanks, Al.
Yeah, so that's just we'll get into the actual details of the program, and he'll break everything down a little bit more in detail. So this was just what's considered a tease.
Yeah.
So 5 p.m. same login credentials as this call. You got anyone that wants to hop on and learn a little bit more, you're welcome to join. And you are able to bring in as many people that want to get on.
You're able to scale, right?
Yeah, exactly, man. It's we don't want to work with everyone, right? But we can work with everyone, right? So we're looking to work with just serious agents that, around 10, 15,000 that are looking to get to the next level for the most part, but we're able to scale for however many people want to jump on board, whether you're a manager looking to, grow your respective IP numbers, or if you're a producer as well. So.
Cool. All right. Well, appreciate you, Andrew. We'll see you later on this afternoon.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Can I chime in real quick?
Make sure you caught our a wink, Andrew. Hey.
Thank you.
Hey, Albert.
Yeah, yes.
Can I chime in? Hey, I won't be
I
on.
was about to get to you because
Okay.
Jason actually has just started on Andrew's program, and why don't you share your thoughts so far?
I appreciate that. Yeah, I won't be able to get on the call later. I'm on full-fledged dad duty tonight. But yeah, so I just started with Andrew, and we started it a week ago on Friday. So it's 6 days deep. And initially I wasn't expecting many leads to start, but I'm telling you, within about 3 or 4 hours, they started coming in. And everybody I've called, everybody I've contacted, they're still leads. So some numbers are disconnected, whatever. Not one person has said, I don't know what I filled out. I didn't fill that out. They haven't argued that yet. Not one. And I'm telling you, just my biggest struggle lately has been consistent lead flow. Like I know a lot of people have. And I just texted Andrew today, like it's fun again for me because I know that I'm going to have fresh leads every day, and it's as opposed to like kind of circling the wagons. Where am I going to get my leads from? Who am I going to get a sale from? They're coming in. And like you said too, if you get on the live dials and you're watching, like I'm learning from Terrence, I'm learning from JP. I saw Darren today. Like you can learn from these top dogs, and like I'm going to mess up along the way, and sure shooting I have, but at the same time, like just talking with Andrew, having a heart-to-heart with him before all this started, like I'm with you, Albert. Like he's a trustworthy guy, and like I'm vouching for him right now. I'm 6 days deep, but I've already gotten for the most part, my investment back into it, and we're 6 days into July. So
24 days, all profit.
Yeah, come on now, come on. So, and I appreciate it, man. And Andrew, you too, man. I appreciate you too helping me out.
I appreciate the kind words, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of a neat story because Jason and I were talking, because I know he was talking to Trent too. We're just talking about lead flow and talking about, how that's what leads to the inconsistency. And this whole segment here is not about, hey, this is the lead vendor everyone should go with. Like this is a new opportunity. This is another option for everybody out there. So I'm like, if it is something that piques your interest, tune in later, and we'll get the information to you. But it was more that Jason and I were talking, and then we compared a couple different vendors, we compared a couple different options, and I'm like, look, if you're looking to go to this one particular vendor or this lead program or campaign or whatever it is, and there's this cost prohibitive startup fee.
Yeah.
And you're paying for a management fee on top of that.
And a CRM.
And which, I mean, CRMs, if you're going to have like a consistent lead flow, you should have CRM. But all those things started adding up. I'm like, well, why don't we just try Andrew's thing? Because I'm like, Andrew did something. He was talking about something similar. I'm like, why don't we try? It's like a fraction of the cost. And then I'm like, I assume the lead quality is going to be somewhere near the same ballpark at the very least. And then he's going to continue to make adjustments along the way. And I'm like, and then Jason was like, okay, that sounds good. He's like, but I don't really know this guy. And then I was like, I've known Andrew for a long time. So I'm like, if nothing else, I know that he's a trustworthy dude. I know he's a man of integrity. So I was like, I feel very comfortable just telling you, go ahead and just try using his thing. And I'm like, and by the way, if it doesn't work out, just quit.
I said to Jason, by the way, he's down the street.
We'll hunt him down for you. No, but I didn't think there was gonna be an issue. I also wasn't certain, and I'm still not certain like how quickly things will ramp up, because like, look, it's not my program. But you know, that's the thing. As long as we have someone that we know will be in communication, and we can like give some feedback to, some constructive feedback to, like, that's all you can really ask for. So consistent lead flow, all that stuff, and all that setup was, it's not about the leads. It's more about just having a system in place that's going to consistently keep you active. And if you stay active, you talk to enough people, I mean, that's how you generate your regular income.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So thank you, Jason, for sharing, and Andrew, thank you for hopping on. We'll see you we'll see you later on this afternoon.
Yeah. Thank you all for having me, man. Talk to you guys later.
All right. Yeah, and then as Jason kind of mentioned, I mean, live dials has been great, you know, especially for the type of program that these guys are on. I mean, like, you're listening to people working the type of leads that you're going to be working with in this type of campaign. Also, I was on earlier today. I was able to do an annuity presentation on there, and you know, since we got the man coming in, I just wanted to kind of flex my muscle a little bit. I mean, it wasn't anything special. I mean, it was just I'm like, I had an agent reaching out from another agency that wanted some help on the presentation, and I was like, cool. I'm glad we have it scheduled during this time, so I can unmute myself and let people listen in. And did you get a chance to hear it?
Yeah.
It was nothing special, right? Just normal.
It was good. Yeah. It's just like any other presentation. You got to have a good practice. It's very thorough, rundown, and then at the end of the day, the client had the average rebuttal or objection, right?
Yeah. And then anyhow, I went through the whole presentation, and then at the end, the client hit me with the objection, and I think Darren reached out to me and said, how do you normally handle that objection? It was the client was like, okay, I still want to talk to my financial advisor, because like they currently have their IRA with a financial advisor. And then, you know, I asked a few questions to try to rebut, and I felt like I was thorough. I went through all my progressions, my normal presentation. I didn't skip anything. I asked the client had questions. I asked them like qualifying questions, you know, all these different things. And at the end of the day, like, didn't close it at that moment. She says she still wants to talk to her financial advisor first, and you know, there's a personal relationship there.
Right.
You can kind of
Right.
you can drill down a little bit more on that later. But you know, if they have a little bit of a personal relationship, I mean, it is what it is. And the agent that asked for the help, she was like, how do you feel about that? I'm like, I don't feel anything about it, because I went through it, did my job, and I did everything I was supposed to do. And you know, you let the chips fall where they may. It is what it is. And not to say that it's out of the realm of possibility that after speaking to the financial advisor, I also prepared her what the financial advisor is going to say. This is what you should also compare and consider and look at this and all this other stuff. So, you know, I was like, we'll follow up with you, and it is what it is. So
that's the best you can do.
Yep. And then going back to my my story earlier about watching that the lead vendor that was doing his live dial. So he was getting on, and like, typically he's known to be a smooth guy and all this other stuff, but then like he was bombing. He was bombing, right? which is cool. I mean, like I like, it happens to everybody. So like, I'm not judging him for that, but also like, you know, just watching him, like, it's just kind of like, everyone experiences the same thing. And if you don't get into the rhythm of doing things on a regular basis, like, you can't expect good results.
Yeah.
Right. So
I was just thinking about, man, isn't he in marketing? He should have preset some good ones, right, whether they're real or not.
Well, the funny thing is, I mean, maybe I did hold him to a higher standard than watching most other agents or listening to other agents on a call. It's because like, these are his leads.
Yeah.
Like he should know exactly what to expect. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, you can't judge anyone on any of that stuff. It's just like, everyone runs their own race. Everyone goes at their own pace. Everyone has, you know, different things that they're trying to improve at, as long as they're working and they're trying to improve. Like, who am I to say about anything? Right. So, I still give him props.
Yeah, still good opportunities, right?
Right. All right. So now that we got all that out the way, got the man of the hour, got Coronado. So we brought a Coronado because number one, he did a great annuity training live at the LA Sales Conference a couple weeks ago. That was really cool. My first time hearing you speak.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Or training in a venue that big anyway.
Sure.
And we also got some exciting news. We got an email from Athene, or from the AMS department.
Yeah, Jay Rosencrantz,
who's going to be paying us a visit next week.
Nice.
He's with Athene so far, with just our main annuity carrier. We have a lot of different options, but that's our biggest one. Coronado has issue paid in terms of annuity volume over $828,000 in the first 6 months,
with like 200 to 300,000 still pending.
Right.
Already
sound about
pending,
right.
Yeah, sounds
waiting
right.
to be what do you call it? Waiting to be issued. Right?
Yes, sir.
Right. And then if you're looking at about like anywhere from like a 5 to like 7% commission rate off of the rollover amount, that's a pretty nice chunk of change.
Yeah.
And if for anyone, I mean, I wasn't able to close on the one today, but I mean, if you listen to the process of an annuity, you're basically explaining the product. And then once you do the rollover, you do the application. I mean, this is money that the client already, like, the client doesn't need to come out of pocket for this. It's something they already have in something. And it's like, why not we just move it here instead for you? And then as soon as that thing issues, deposit drops, and you're a happy man.
Absolutely.
Sound about right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Cool. Well, so I guess I just want to start off, Coronado, by asking, how'd you get so good at annuities?
How did I get good at annuities? I failed a lot, quite frankly. I stumbled forward. I was very observant with people who initially taught me how to sell annuities. The company that I came from, believe it or not, you had to give up your first 10 sales and not make a penny in order for an experienced agent. It was like more of an exchange principle.
I heard about that. The training.
Where,
right?
you don't know nothing about annuities. You're licensed, but you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go out with you, and I'm going to make all the money. But in exchange, I'm going to teach you how to close, how to offer value, how to fill out the paperwork, how to overcome objections, how to bring value to the client.
Right.
And a few of those annuities that I gave up early on were like, I mean, they could have made me tens of thousands of dollars. So you talk about paying the price up front. I mean, most people be like, the hell with this, I'm out of here. Like, no way. Like, I need to feed my family, or I got bills to pay, right? But I said, well, if that's the system, I was extremely coachable, and I listened to my leadership, and that's what I did. But I look back at those days, and I'm like, yeah, I lost a lot of money, but look what's happened since then. Like, I've made that back. I don't know,
your dues
many, many, many times over. And so, it's not like that here, which is pretty awesome. I mean, I love, the concept of, our team, where you want people making money ASAP, because when people don't make money right away in this business, especially 100% commission, they're probably going to just kind of put their tail between their legs and kind of just walk away, right? Tuck their tail. So it's important to show people that, hey, we're not talking about big money that we're making. We want to make sure that we put you in a situation where you can make that kind of money too. I mean, if someone comes in here and makes, I don't know, in their first couple of weeks, they're pretty excited about that.
Sure.
Because that's not what corporate America is going to pay you,
right? Especially
Especially on a 1099, where you're going to be able to now create some write-offs and things of that nature. So, but yeah, so the way I got good at annuities is being a better listener than Mr. Know-It-All. And I took copious notes. Back then everything was across kitchen table with paper apps. So I was there just being very observant. And I'm like, if this sucker is going to take my money, I'm going to pay attention to every little detail, right? I didn't even go up to go to the bathroom. I'd hold it because I was taking copious notes on all of the information that was being transferred to the client. And I was just, we call them nuggets. I was just picking up nuggets. And I took a bunch of notes, and we went out again, and I just kind of brought everything together. And then I remember, man, the first time I went out by myself, I got to the person's driveway because there was no parking. So I called the guy. He says, "Yeah, you can park in my driveway." And I get out of the car. It was like a hot summer day, and I had a suit on. It was like 95 degrees outside. I had a suit on with a shirt and tie, with my little attaché case, and I remember walking into the house. I was trembling, and I sit down. The guy leads me to his table. I sit down, and I just start. I didn't create a rapport with the guy or nothing. And I just took out my pen and pad and I just started talking. I had like diarrhea of the mouth. And the guy goes, "Hey, whoa, whoa, whoa." He's like, "Slow down." He's like, "Would you like some water?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." He says, "Hey," he goes, "You're doing great. Just slow down." He says, he kind of like broke I get bad momentum. And so I had some water,
Hope you're enjoying the video so far. Please make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, anything to help support the algorithm so we can continue to bring you more valuable content and continue to be part of your lives. Also, if you don't feel that it's providing you that much support since you're already at this point, like and subscribe anyway.
kind of dampened myself off with a napkin. And then I kind of took a deep breath and I got into my spiel. And then you'd be surprised like how many people out there really don't know much about financials, particularly annuities.
Right.
Oh,
And I had already been, I had already sat down with 10 separate families. So, and at that time, I knew more than the average person, but I didn't know like as much as I know today.
Right.
And just some of the words started flowing and I started kind of putting sentences together and I started speaking with more confidence. And I really saw, I hate to use this word. I don't know what other word to use, but there's just a lot of ignorance out there. I mean,
Tons,
people
yeah.
just don't know. And when you know, how to protect someone's asset, how to make the money grow, the give and take, obviously, hey, they're like, well, what's the catch? You're going to give me a bonus in this program. You're going to protect me from the market when the market goes down and I have the opportunity to earn double-digit return. Like, what's the catch? I'm like, well, sir, the catch is there's also this thing called a surrender charge, meaning that you're either gonna agree to keep this for 7 years or 10 years. And so that's the catch. That's the give and take. In everything, there's a give and take, right? So if you're willing to move forward with this, I can honor that bonus for you. I can protect your assets. I can put you in a position to earn double-digit returns or greater, or maybe you might earn 6, 7, 8%, which is better than whatever the bank is going to pay you. I can also assure you that you're not going to have any fees as this money compounds and grows. And they go, "Hey, sounds too good to be true. I was told I should never move forward on something that sounds too good to be true." I'm like, so this is all the good. And the bad is I need to make sure that you're a suitable client for this product. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. We're going to find out where you are financially, make sure that you're in a place where you have some reserves. And on top of that, you need to understand that if your transmission in your car breaks, this is not where you go to pull money out to fix your transmission. Like you have to have a reserve account to be able to go grab that money and fix your car or do whatever you need to do. So that's more the give and take is the 7 or 10 year contract so that we can avoid our clients being penalized for pulling, they have access to 10% of the money a year
right.
with no penalties, right? But, I mean, you can't just be like, "Oh yeah, I want to go to Vegas, next month," or it's, I want to go to Cancun or wherever. So you want to make sure that they understand that it's not a money where you're going to be pulling. You can't treat it as a checking account, right?
I actually like those questions when clients ask like, what's the catch? Or, because the thing is that it's showing they're interested.
Yeah.
Right.
It's showing that they want this for some reason,
Right.
but then like they're hesitant because they're like, there's no free lunch in America.
Right.
Those are good buying signals. Wait a minute. Right.
And I actually did bring that up in my presentation earlier today.
Yeah.
With a client, and I was like, here's the thing, like they're not a nonprofit company. They're definitely for profit.
Of course.
So the thing is like, here's the downside. You can go and invest this yourself directly in the market, and you're subject to all the downside market risk.
Mhm.
And if it goes down, you lose your principal, and it is what it is. And you're paying a fee. You're paying that fee whether your advisor's making you money or losing you money. You're still paying that fee every single year. Or the downside with this is we move it over. You never experience any loss. We can eliminate fees. But the thing is, when there's an interest to be credited, you're not getting the whole thing. The company's taking their piece and they're crediting you with the whatever participation rate or the cap rate is.
Exactly.
So that's the rub. And I'm like, but you know, that's how this is structured, and this is the benefit versus what you currently have. And you know, for most clients, we're like, okay, that makes sense. Because I don't think you should ever be like, there's no downside. You know, because if you say there's no downside, I'm like, they're like, okay, this guy's full of crap.
Yeah.
Something wrong with this guy. But to go back to something that you mentioned earlier, so at your previous company, which there's a lot of companies that when you go in, when they have annuities or they have certain products, they're just like, all right, well, we need to train you first.
Right.
And then you have to give up your first 10 sales.
That's how it was in the hierarchy I was in.
Yeah.
It was
It's not all hierarchies in that company, just that particular one.
No, I mean, I don't know that that was company wide,
Okay.
but the hierarchy that I was in was the concept was you give up your first 10 when you come in.
Yeah.
And then from that point forward, everyone you bring into the business,
Take their first 10.
you take their first 10, their first 10, their first 10 forever. So it was like, well, heck, if I hire 10 people, I'm going to get 100 appointments. And all I did was give up 10. So that was kind of like the psyche, you know, that
But
was
if you don't hire, then you're screwed.
yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah. If you don't, I mean, it was all about recruiting. I mean,
Right.
let's not get it twisted. It was about, you got to recruit and build and, you know, build your agency and blah, blah, blah.
It's like having a rookie hazing. Go through it one time, but you can haze the rest later on.
Speaking of smoking like a true frat boy like John,
Yeah.
I bet you, like, I wouldn't want to be his little brother or friend.
That was we were in a fraternity, and that was the mind state. Like, hey man, just go through this. Once you go through it, every year you get to do it to someone else.
Right.
John, hurt people. Okay.
People hurting people.
No, but I think that's an interesting concept, because the thing is, I'm not entirely opposed to it, because, you know, yeah, sometimes you got to give up something in order for you to receive that extra training that's going to develop your skill that allow you to be profitable. But I mean, what if you went through like 2 or 3 and you're a fast learner, you're like, okay, cool, I got it, or I don't need your
Right.
training anymore. Do they still allow you to proceed without it? You still got to give the 10.
So you don't get checked off.
If you don't give them up, you're not coachable.
Mm.
So you don't get the green light.
Nope.
How do they stop that? They don't contract you. They don't get.
No,
get
it was just,
deployments?
it was never like in the, you know, the company handbook or nothing. It was just something that you agreed upon.
Can't break ranks.
You never, like, it was not in writing. It was just something that everybody had to follow that mandate per se. So,
You know, I think that's an interesting concept. I'm like, to each their own. They can do whatever they want. I personally don't find it very, very it's a little, it hinders the new agent that comes aboard that needs to make money, that wants to make
Right.
money, that shows them excitement. So, and then I'm sure certain people fall through the cracks, right? They get through a certain number, and then there's like, I don't want to do this anymore.
yeah,
And then someone just benefited off of
Right,
your warm
exactly.
market.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's the really cool thing about Family First Life. It's just, you know, we have like a culture of helping each other out. And, you know, like if anyone that hopped on the live dials earlier, they got to hear an annuity presentation for free. Like, it wasn't like, hey, you can only learn about this if you give up some sales to me. It's just like, just hop on and learn. Like, all you got to do is participate.
Yeah.
All you got to do is show up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a common concept. They call it tap rooting.
Mhm.
Getting the clients, getting them to get their referrals first.
Yeah.
But you've mastered that with your own clients and tap
Exactly.
rooting and getting more referrals from it.
Yeah. I mean, I've been very fortunate to over the years acquire a book of business of over 3,000 personal clients. And I've actually stayed in touch with them. A lot of them, you know, I write down their anniversary date for their, you know, for their marriage, their birth dates. I send them a quick text for 4th of July or Mother's Day or what have you. You'd be surprised how many agents go write up a bunch of people and they never have contact with them ever again.
Yeah.
And so for me, I did that, you know, because I have an extensive real estate background as well. And I was doing that with my real estate clients, but obviously I've acquired far more, you know, life insurance and annuity clients than I did real estate back in the day. But I did that in real estate, and I found that, hey, people care that you care,
Right.
They
right?
appreciate that.
And they appreciate that. So I was like, oh, well, I'm going to bring that same concept into life insurance and annuities. And I've been very fortunate where I'm at a point where, you know, people seek me out, you know, aside from the leads and all that. It's awesome when you get as a matter of fact, I got an email, I think it was like 3 weeks ago, and it was an existing client, and they said, you know what, if we can ask you to please be present at our house XYZ Saturday. It was like 3 weeks out. We have a newborn in the house. Our little girl is 4 months old, and then my sister and her husband are gonna come they want insurance,
Mm.
and they have a little girl as well. And then also if you can put something together for my parents and then also my brother. And I'm thinking like, that's
And
like
they
7
called-
apps,
And they
right?
called you to book an appointment.
Yeah, they called me, can you please make time for us? And
Yeah.
like, that's like, I mean, I don't want to talk about money, but that's like thousands of dollars. That's like a good Saturday, right?
Yeah.
So, and of course I went over there and then I get there and I look, we're not going to talk any business right now. Are you hungry? Let's eat. And I'm like, wow, like I get fed. Plus I'm going to write business. Like, this is amazing. So I was there a good 4 hours, but I mean, I took 7 apps.
Wow.
They were like high-fiving me walking out the door. And I'm like, man, this is awesome. What an awesome business. So
That's pretty neat.
yeah.
And then it's kind of like the reverse of the scenario from my presentation earlier. Like you're that person that they have personal relationship with, and
Right.
they want to continue to
Right.
go. If they have any financial needs, they'd rather go through you first to see
Right.
if you have it to offer. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that the other day. You know how we had Independence Day, right? And we're independent contractors. Well, what are we dependent on? We're dependent on leads to generate our business.
Sure.
But when can we be independent from that? When you build your book of business. If you build enough book of business, you maintain your clients, you get referrals, you get generations and generations of referrals. You build your brand enough to where they come to you, and you've done that because you've had the skill, the customer service,
Yeah.
and the years into it.
and something you touched on earlier. I mean, I'm ashamed to say, like, there's been points in my career in which I didn't follow up with a client. I didn't. Not only did I not send like the thank you cards and reach out for their birthdays, like some of them, like even there was like little service items like returned item or something, and like I just didn't call the client because either I was lazy about it, or I just at the time I was thinking like maybe this person wants to cancel, and then like I just like had like a loser talk in my head,
Yeah.
and I was like I'll just like, what's the point? I'm not gonna call them. And then the thing is, like, they end up like getting a policy with someone else,
Mhm.
and then like somehow I find out, or I happen to call them later, and like I can't even blame anybody but myself, because like I could have done something about it, but I just chose not to at the time. So it's like it's a learning lesson.
Yeah, it's a two-way street maintaining those clients.
Absolutely.
They'll keep you.
Absolutely.
I always say sometimes clients aren't loyal. Well, because we're not loyal to them. We're not taking care of them, right?
Yeah.
You become just the
Yeah.
one-time rep, or the family rep.
Exactly.
And I've totally gotten over that, because sometimes I used to think like, oh, I don't want to keep calling this client and bothering them to get them to the point where they want to cancel on me, right?
Mhm.
I used to think that, and then it's like, well, how good of a job did I actually do in the first place if I have to feel that way?
Yeah.
Like if
Right.
I didn't actually provide any real value, then it's
Right.
just a ticking time bomb anyway. So like now I'm like, if there's anything, like I'll just keep harassing my client, I'll just keep calling them. But I think they appreciate it, because it's like, hey, I'm sorry to keep bothering you, but the thing is, I just want to get this done for you the right
Right.
way. And then like, how are they gonna complain about that?
Yeah. And people want that because, of course, how many spam calls do you get now every day, right? And then you only pay attention to it when you finally have freedom and time, because we get busy. So 2-3 calls doesn't really bother us too much, because I'm getting 2-3 calls in an hour anyways from someone
Yeah.
else.
Yeah. Or especially if someone
Right.
Right. I mean, we're in like 2023 now, and what I found is people will respond a lot faster to a text
Yeah.
than they do a phone call or an email or a mailer.
Yeah.
So oftentimes when I have some downtime, I'm like, you know what clients did I write up, even if it was 3, 4, 5 months ago? I just, I don't know, my brain is just wired where I can just in a few minutes just text 10 people. Hey, this is Coronado. How are you doing? I hope you had a great 4th. Hey, it was great doing business with you. If you know of anyone else who might be interested in the information I shared with you, by all means, reach out.
It's good.
Just something like that.
How often do people respond to a text like that?
They actually respond pretty frequently. I mean, not right in that moment.
Yeah.
But I do get some return phone calls.
Right. And
So if I'm doing like, because I just have that, I mean, I'm blessed to have that client base. If I do 10 a day, it's going to take me 4 minutes, 5 minutes to send those 10 texts.
Right.
The compounding effect of that, I'm sending out 70 of those a week. If I don't know, 5 people call me back, or 3 or 2 or what, like I just generated, more business.
Yeah.
Just by a quick hello. Hey, I hadn't forgotten you. Hope everything is well. Hope the family's well, whatever. And, send them emoji with, the one that they have with the sunglasses,
the cool one.
The cool
in the
emoji.
summertime or whatever. And,
Yeah.
and people do respond to that. people feel like they feel special. They feel that they're not forgotten.
And you're connected them.
And I do connect with them that way.
It's an excellent point. I mean, because we just broke down the human psychology of like us not wanting to bother the client, because we don't follow up and then we don't want them to like cancel on us. But, just think about it from the client. If you don't do something like Coronado just did, and as far as reaching out to the client and checking to see how they're doing and see if they need any have insurance needs, just think if we as professionals like feel bad about contacting people, think about how many clients are out there. They have like a new event happen in their life, like they had a baby or they got a new house, or they have a brother or sister that's looking for insurance. Exactly. And then like they don't want to bother you. And the thing is, it just continues to sit and like fester and just dwells there. And then the thing is, this whole thing could have been, solved. Yeah. And you could have provided a solution to this client if you just reached out.
Yeah. On your first base of contact instead of waiting for them.
Yeah. It's just a matter of, you got to think like a farmer, right? You got to plant enough seeds and then you're going to get that harvest. Yeah. So however you're reaching out to your people, whether it be via leads or via a text message or a phone call, or you bump into them at the local supermarket, whatever, you constantly just have to, you always have to have, you got to treat this as, it's got to be like it's got to be football. It's got to be a contact sport. Just throw it out there, and I've been stepping up my game a little bit more with social media as well.
Good.
Nice.
And so, when I was invited to go to, the AMS, when they invited me to go out to Phoenix and Tucson,
right.
I said, you know what, I got to get out of my comfort zone. I'm not this super tech social media guy or whatever. So I was on the rooftop, we had a really great dinner up at the rooftop of the hotel. It was a great hotel. I wasn't expecting that. Right. And I did some video of the rooftop, and then I did some more video of the training inside, that we were doing in there. And then they took us out to dinner, and then they were like literally buying us drinks. And I'm like, wait, the alcohol's on them too. I'm like, wow, okay, like I'll have a couple, right? But I videoed all that, and then I put it on Instagram. And just from that post, I was able to, people reached out to me to get on board with me as agents. So I was able to get 3 already life licensed people to come on board, and they reached out to me, and I picked up like 7-8 clients. Wow. Just from that story that I put up. Right. So the social media stuff does work. It's free. I would definitely recommend investing some time in it, maybe sitting down. I mean, my nephew, I'll give him a shout out. His name is Nico. He just taught me some real basic stuff on Instagram, and I started utilizing that. And I've had other people in my circle to kind of teach me different things. Mm-hmm. And you'd be surprised how far that goes. I mean, the reach. As a matter of fact, Facebook reached out to me. They're like, hey, you're real with all your business stuff. Reached over 1,000 views, I guess. Uh-huh. And then I had a couple more stories that turned into reels or whatever. And I got like, I guess views with comments in them or whatever. And next thing you know, I look at my Facebook profile and they made me a digital creator. And I'm like, what? Like, oh, cool. I was like, I don't even know what the heck I'm doing. And I'm a digital creator. I'm like, I guess I have that title now. I'll run with it. Cool.
So speaking of social media, then, with the annuity aspect in mind, what can you say if you create a reel for like 20 seconds to 30 seconds about annuity? What would you create an ad for?
Well, I would.
Who would you target? Like what
I would definitely mention, hey, have you lost money in your retirement account in the last, this year so far?
Okay.
If you have, and you want to stop the bleeding, give me a call. I have a way to protect your assets, and I have a way to protect your money from losses, and I have a way to have your money grow when the markets turn around. It's just something basic, call me for details or reach out for details or, DM me or whatever. But I think I said it before in my training. It's my personal belief. Maybe people agree with me or they don't, but I believe that people maybe like in their mid 50s, maybe 50 plus, 55 plus, should not have all of their apples in the stock market in a variable account, which goes up and down. We already talked about the elevator and the escalator, right? So if I know of people that are in that age bracket and they have IRAs, they've got mutual funds, they've got stocks, I'm like, you know what? I've dealt with clients that have millions of dollars, right? And I'm like, look, if your portfolio is about 8 million deep, maybe we ought to grab maybe half of that, or maybe a third of it, or maybe a quarter of it, and let's just secure this part. God forbid, your account hits, you get a 30% hit on 900,000, you're going to be down 300 grand. So why don't we grab a third of that? You got 900 grand in all your assets. Let's grab 300, and let's protect that money. No matter what happens, you can count on that money. The other 600 or 500 or whatever the case may be, yeah, you can kind of play with the market, but you are at an age where if you take that a substantial hit like that, that's probably going to prolong your retirement, because there were people that I've dealt with in the past where they took a 28, 33% hit. There's been major events that have happened, and 9/11 was one of them.
Oh yeah.
The 2008 crash with the stock market. I'm not the stock market, the real estate market.
Subprime housing.
Yeah, subprime housing market. Back in the 2000s, it was a tech market, right? So every 10 to 12 years, there's something crazy that happens in the marketplace, and the market does rebound. But what if you're 64 and all of your money, you take a 33% hit, and you were planning on retiring at 65 or 67? Now you're like, man, I got to make up, I lost 128 grand. I have to make that up. So you're going to actually work longer. You're going to work into your 70s to try to recoup with no guarantee. So that I would say, if you want to get into annuities and you want to be able to educate and really help people, like have their best interests in mind, I would say, let's grab a portion of your retirement. Let's put that somewhere where it's secure. No matter what happens, that money is secure. And if you feel so confident about, these variable accounts that you have, that's fine. I'm not here to grab all of your money and put it in something fixed. But let's protect some of it. And people tend to agree with that.
That's a good point. I think for a lot of people, they lose their potential sales, because like they see a big amount, they just keep pushing and pushing, telling them to move the whole thing.
Yeah.
And going back to the other scenario, I mean, if they have a financial advisor or someone that's been managing their money up to this point, the thing is they don't want to move all of it, because then the thing is that there's a previous established relationship and they have no relationship with you up until this point.
Right.
So I mean, it's helped me close a few deals along the way. And this is stuff I learned in the process of doing all this, from learning from other people, talking to other top producers. It's just like, all right, fair enough. I understand why you want to keep that money in there. So here's the thing. Like, this is my phrasing for it. And I said it on the call earlier. I was like, when you're younger, you want to be as aggressive as possible.
Mm-hmm.
You can ride out the highs and the lows. But the thing is, now that you're starting to approach your retirement phase, how much money can you really afford to lose?
Exactly.
Right. It sounds pretty good, right? I stole it.
Yeah.
I totally stole all of it. but I was like, it makes total sense to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, so now, I shared it, and every client's like, okay. And then instead of like going for the whole thing, like, sometimes you can just be like, I understand that you have an advisor. So here's what we can do. Now, the thing is, we don't take any money today. We still got to submit the application to Athene. There's no underwriting, but there is a process called suitability. There's got to make sure that, this doesn't tie up all of your money. You have other assets to live off of. So if it doesn't put you in a better financial position, they won't even really do it anyway.
Exactly.
So I'm like, why don't we do this? If everything made sense to you, if it sounded good as far as your long-term financial plans for retirement, why don't we just move a portion of it? We can move half of it, we move a third of it, just so you can see how it does compared side by side with what you currently have. There's very little risk for you. You're guaranteed not to lose any money with this. And if it does well and performs well, and then it outperforms what you currently have, or you feel safer with it, we can move the rest later if you want. Yep. And I'm like, what's the downside? And they're like, okay. And then makes them easier, because I'm like, instead of just being like all or nothing, it's just like, all right, let's just do a portion of it, see how it goes. And then if you earn our trust, then you can have the rest.
I'm glad you said that, because I actually learned the hard way. And, when I saw what people had, this happened to me one time and one time only, and I learned from it, right? I don't look at, sometimes when you fail, I don't look at it as a failure. I look at it as a learning curve, right? Yeah. And so I had a person that had about 180 grand or something like that. And I tried to move all of it, and they just weren't comfortable with it. And it just never dawned on me, like, well, why don't you take 40 or 50? Like, because I believe that a percentage of something is better than 100% of nothing.
Right.
And so it took me one time to like really get that through my head. And I'm like, you know what? Never again. And I tried to reach out to the person again, and they were just like, they didn't return my calls. They didn't return my text messages. I even sent them a letter. I didn't want to go knock on their door again and stalk them or nothing, but I was like, I was like, okay, so take one in the chin. But then, in this business, and just like in life, it doesn't matter how many times you fall. What matters is how many times you get back up. You dust yourself off, you learn from it, and you start to create that wisdom and that knowledge, right? So
It was definitely a learning
gain
lesson because
experience.
it's still stuck with you to this point. You brought it up,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah,
So,
man. Absolutely.
You're still feeling that 180K pain.
man.
I got a question. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, please. Go ahead.
So David Allen, when he came out on the sales conference, he came out with the statistics. Out of all the FFL agents that we have here, they had said that only 3% actually do like annuities, right? Under 10%.
Okay.
So within our FFL Elite agency, I think we're doing a decent amount of it. I would say you're bringing in a lot of it, right? What would you say for our audience or for the people that's never done any? I would just even think about like, okay, well, when you came in, you had to sacrifice 10. You had to come up with 10 annuity clients. How can we get our agents to come up with their own 10 annuity clients, and we can just help them out and they can sell those 10 annuity
Right.
clients?
So I'm going to go back to my, I should probably trademark this,
Yeah.
but my famous FTM,
Yeah.
find the money.
Yep.
Right. And so if you're across the kitchen table, you're doing a Zoom, you're doing a telesales or whatever you're doing, make sure that you mention, hey, by the way, I'm here to talk to you about, your final expense product or what have you. Our firm, we also have, we specialize in protecting people's assets in retirement. We'll come back to that in a second. So if you just plant that little seed in the beginning, and then you go through whatever you need to go through for the final expense sell, when you're wrapping things up, say, hey, by the way, so remember I told you that we also offer the retirement solutions. Oh yeah, I do remember that. So, you know what? So what do you got going for retirement right now? It's just an open-ended question. What do you have going for retirement right now? And sometimes they'll say, oh, well, I have a 401k at my job. I've got an IRA with the bank. I retired from XYZ company and I have a pension there. It's like, okay, great. Do you mind if I follow up with you, based upon your age? I mean, guess what? They're a final expense client. So you already know they're 50 and above. So they're like in that real critical age state, that time frame where they can't afford to take a 20-30% hit on their retirement account. So you got to start with planting the seed, and then towards the end of the phone call, say, you know what, we have experts within our company that can they specialize in protecting assets. And would you mind if I follow up with you? You want to make sure you secure your life sale, but just open up that corridor, open that other back door, so you can come in later and say, hey, remember we talked about that, because a brand new person is not really going to know how to really explain it initially, but maybe you can bring somebody in, maybe an upline, a sideline, or whoever, someone that has a little bit of experience. And then, I don't know, you create a split, maybe a 50-50 or 60-40 or however you want to do that. But I always say that if you don't mention that, you're leaving money on the table.
Definitely.
And I mean, let's face it, annuities pay well. Our company, I don't know if I'm allowed to say the percentage
For the commission.
for annuities.
Yeah, I said
percentage.
Yeah,
Okay,
5 to
so
7.
our company starts at 5.25.
Yep.
Like where I came from, I was like senior, I was in a senior position, and I wasn't even at 5. I was
Jeez.
lower than that. But our company starts at 5.25, and then you get into the 6s and the 7% and all that compound. So, I mean, you can make a substantial amount of money in these annuities, and your bread and butter is final expense. But if annuity is going to take 30 days or 21 days or 45 days or whatever, keep doing your final expense thing, and then you got these nice little healthy annuity commissions coming in here and there, and you're like, oh, like I kind of like this. Like, let me keep asking these questions. You just got to probe. You got to just dig a little bit, and because I promise you, if you do that enough, that light at the end of the tunnel gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So I think good things happen when you basically farm. You gotta start somewhere, right?
Yeah. So remember FTM, FTM, Coronado's trademark. Find the money every time that you
I'll
go
get
in
like
the
a
house.
T-shirt.
I mean, we also, there's other phrases like ask the golden question in every house, so
Right.
whether you sell or you don't, you should ask that question, because aside from the fact that you're leaving money on the table, what if this client has always been wondering what to do with their 401k and that they've never had anyone else to talk to about it?
Right.
They're going to be stuck with this product that may not serve them the best way for their retirement. And you had an option, you you had a option for them the whole time, even if you don't know how to do it. And Coronado kind of touched on this. Yeah, if you find someone to do a split with you, I mean, people may be like, I don't want to give up my money, but it's like, you want to give up 50% of something or 0 or 100% of nothing.
Right.
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 It's like,
It's true.
and then, plus I'm willing to help. Like I've helped a lot of people, and because I'm kind of in a unique position to like not have to worry about the split. I'm just going to just like help as many people out. Cause I'm thinking bigger picture. If we get more people on it, like it's all going to make up in volume anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
So, whatever it is, the thing is, ask the question, make sure you find the money, ask the question, and then ask for help afterwards. And even as experienced as you are, I mean, like if you went through like a whole life sale, would you jump right into the annuity presentation right there on the spot, or would you set up another appointment?
In most cases, it would probably be a second appointment.
Right.
In most
I agree.
cases, because you don't want to overwhelm them.
Right.
Right. Now, if it's somebody that I've known,
Yeah.
maybe one of my existing clients or someone that I've just a personal relationship I've had, in passing, or somebody I know from the gym or whatever, I might, the comfort level might be a little bit greater, and I could spend a little bit more. You kind of got to read it.
If you have an existing,
But I would say if you've
relationship.
never written an annuity, that's definitely going to be a second, on the second contact.
Right.
That's when you kind of open that conversation up.
Right. Because
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we know how to run the illustration and present
Sure.
everything on the spot. So
Sure.
if I just went through a whole process of selling someone a final expense plan or a mortgage protection plan, and then they had brought up that they had money, I'm like, I'm not going to make them sit through another presentation right there on the spot and tidal wave them and overwhelm them, because then all of a sudden, like, they might cancel everything.
Right. Exactly.
I was just thinking about like, when we were doing in-person presentations, I always made it a point, we specialize in final expense, mortgage protection, and retirement planning. But when you start doing a lot of telesales, and I think this is where it's getting left off, we neglect it and we just go straight for the kill, go for the
Right.
final expense, go for the
Right.
mortgage. If you guys can just do a little bit of introduction, with the
Yeah.
brokerage, we specialize final expense, mortgage protection, and we have retirement solutions. Now we're going to take care of your final expense, but bring it up later on
Plant
at
the
the end.
seed. That's all you got to
Right.
do is plant the seed. So
And I know we're jumping around a little bit. To circle back around to when we were talking about doing a partial rollover rather than just trying to take it all if the client's reluctant already. By no means am I saying always just take part of it. in some cases, like if the client's all about it, like there's certain clues, like the client would be like, yeah, I've lost a ton of money. I don't want to pay all these fees, this and that. And like they're complaining about their previous product. That's a pretty good sign that you should move all of the money, because like you're providing that solution for them
Right.
rather than like, hey, I'm going to move it all so I can get paid more. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the thing is, you can always create a win-win situation. You just have to, like, as Coronado mentioned, you just got to become a good listener.
Right.
Because they're telling you most of the time exactly what it is. You're just not reading between the lines.
Right.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
well, we are running out of time. But I mean, if you were to give some people some just general annuity advice, and if they're kind of brand new, they're trying to get into the space, aside from finding the money, what other quick tips would you give them?
So, I mean, a lot of people don't even know what FIA stands for.
Yes.
Right? They don't know that. They're like, yeah, isn't that like a car? Like a Fiat? Are you talking about a Fiat?
Is that crypto?
So the annuities that we offer, they're called fixed index annuities.
Okay.
So you can even just plant the seed to the client this way. So the foundation of this program, the name of the plan is called an annuity. Okay, that's going to be your base plan. The F part basically means fixed. So we're in a position, I have licenses through the state of California and certifications with these carriers where I can protect your money from losses. So that's where the F comes in. And then the index, we're going to utilize the brains of like these Harvard and Yale graduates who actually represent these large carriers such as Athene. These are basically like more like a money manager. And they're the ones who utilize these strategies in order to grow your money. So the foundation of your plan is an annuity. The F part is your money's going to be fixed. And then the index is going to be basically all of the, you can even use it as I stands for interest, all of the interest crediting that the insurance company is going to credit into your account over time. And guess what? If 96% of our agents don't know what an FIA is, what do you think the percentage of the public knows what an FIA is? They have no clue. So if you just plant that seed and, just get them a little curious. And if they start asking questions, guess what? They're curious. They're interested. So then you do a little bit of the takeaways, like, hey, you know what? Like, doesn't this smell good? Okay, hold on. Hold on. I got the goodies for you, but we'll touch base on that later. And then you grab whatever backup you need to be able to make that happen. Yeah, that's great.
Great stuff. So there's a lot more to, so good.
Yeah. So when I was dealing with the client on the phone and I was doing the telesale, I contacted Bridget Ramier from Simple Retirement Solutions. And then I forgot about the website. They created a website for it. So if you guys don't know, it's FIAbenefits.com with an S. FIA Benefits. It's basically the four quad fold that they created a website. You can send it to the client. You can review it and learn more about it, and then you can touch it. Because if you just mention FIA and then they start Googling it, there's some good and bad things about annuities,
Sure,
right?
absolutely.
Right. But if you send our website, it's gonna lay the foundation and sell it to them, and then your follow-up appointment, it's gonna be smoother.
Yeah.
And there's tons more to learn about annuities, even though at this point, I mean, I don't think it's that complicated, because I think people tend to focus on the complexity of things rather than the simplicity of that the clients actually genuinely care about. But I mean, there's a lot to it. So I mean, we're definitely going to do more training on this. I mean, I appreciate Coronado coming in and just giving us a little taste of everything.
Hey man, you bought me lunch, so that's why I showed up.
Hey,
Bribery works.
worth.
Also, just real quick before we sign off here, you're looking to build a team now too. So for which is exciting, because
Yes.
now you can pass this knowledge on to other
Yes.
people that they can make more money too. I mean, it's a win-win situation.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we don't fit in the conference room anymore.
Hey,
So we actually switched over to this side, and we're doing trainings here. You guys are welcome to come.
Fridays. Right?
I train quite a bit on annuities. I train on advanced market sales, which here it's IUL and FIA. That's actually what I grew up in the business with. So to me, it's second nature.
Mhm.
So we do trainings on IUL. We do trainings on annuities. And believe it or not, I'm shifting some of my training into mindset.
Nice.
Right. And so you can know everything, but if you don't take action,
Right.
If you're one of these technical people, you understand everything that's on the not a prospectus, because that's a variable product, but you have these brochures and you want to know everything to the T on a brochure. Dude, just go out there and talk to the people about this. You don't need to know every little detail.
Right.
So, but yeah, we are training our team. The training goes from 9:30 a.m. to noon
Here at the office.
here at the office. Is this Carson or Gardena?
Yes.
So we'll call it,
We're on the border.
we'll call it Garson.
Yeah, same zip code, everything.
Carson.
But it's on what days? Fridays, every other
Friday.
Fridays.
So tomorrow we're having training tomorrow.
So if you guys are local, you guys
Yeah,
are
you guys can
welcome
come
to
in.
join.
You're welcome. And
Also, is it in English or Spanish?
ooh, that's a great question. So we do have a strong Latino Spanish speaking team. But you guys do know I speak 3 languages, right?
What's the
I
third
knew
one?
about the
English,
two.
Spanish, and Spanglish.
Hey,
It
works.
I thought you were gonna say like
So
pig
I
Latin.
I can say some stuff in English and some stuff in Spanish. I mean, the concept is basic. So whatever language you speak, you'll come out of here, far more informed
and you're just adding to your
and
repertoire.
confident. Yeah. So
And then for anyone that's out there watching that's now yet with our agency that wants to come and work with you, how do they get a hold of you?
you can email me at the lifestyle strategies, the number 4, the letter U at gmail.com, or you can look me up on Instagram, which is Coronado Haro 1. That's my IG handle. Coronado, like the island in San Diego. Last name is Haro, the number 1.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. Well, hopefully this was helpful. I mean, I always learn a lot whenever I get a chance to talk to other people about annuities. Some just little things that I may be missing myself. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I mean, we want to be able to have you guys add this to your repertoire, so you have more ways of making money, more ways of helping other families, and it's a real thing. It's a real service that we can provide. So let's make it a win-win situation. So let's go out there and be elite, guys. Appreciate you.
Awesome, guys. Good stuff.
Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you guys once again for supporting. If you guys want to see more of that, please make sure you like, subscribe, click on this link here to subscribe, click on this link for the next video.